Hello, everyone. Hey, if this is your first time watching this, wherever you're watching this from, let me introduce myself for the first timers. And of course, if you're a returning person, you know who I is, who you know who I be. I'm Dr. Samaria Colbert. I'm the founder of Kingdom Creative Counseling, where I'm located right now. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been in mental health for over 16 years. I'm a published author. I've written over 60 books. I think I'm a book number 68. I am I'm a Christian. I love me some Jesus. And how I tend to be a little bit different from your average therapist. I give you faith-based principles to bring about lasting change and also talk about a lot of your kingdom assignment that I think is related to your emotional and mental health, because when you're operating in your kingdom assignment, there's certain attacks, there's certain oppositions, but there's also certain blessings and that will come in your direction. And one of the things that have happened to me these last few years is I've been able to, and on some level, I haven't gotten to uh, the fullness of what God has in store for me, but I have been able to launch out and become a full-time entrepreneur. And so I'm so faithful. I am faithful, excuse me, but I'm grateful for that. And so this may not necessarily be mental health related, but I promise you, it in some ways is indirectly what we're going to talk about today, because I don't know, just being able to walk into your assignment, but there is some wisdom that you have to use and some faithfulness that you have to endure. And anything you want to do, I always say the enemy is not going to fall asleep and and allow you to operate in your kingdom assignment. Okay. So hopefully I won't have any trouble, y'all. It took me a good 30 minutes just to log in to record this because my microphone, excuse me, my microphone cord is acting up. I just ordered another one, but hopefully it'll hold out until we convene again. But the topic of today is what you should do before you take the leap of faith into your entrepreneurial journey. I like to give my take because I have a more of a balanced view. I'm not one. We talk about being a full-time entrepreneur, and this is anything you do. If you want to do, it'll apply to if you whatever you want to do full-time. If you want to be in full-time ministry, if you want to be an entrepreneur, um, I'm not a huge component or huge fan of people say I just jumped out without a plan. Talk about anxiety. When you jump out on a plane and you make sure. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. And I did give my testimony a while back, probably back in November, about my journey into full-time entrepreneurship. It was not easy. I still had to go through a process. I had to learn how to be diligent, be faithful, but also learn my craft, my skill. And for those who don't know, again, my skill is writing. If you read some of my books when I first started writing over 20 years ago, and how I'm writing now, it's gonna be very different. Okay, my skills as a clinician, being an entrepreneur, which I really want to address, working professionals. When you are in a regulated, highly regulated field, which is very different from coaching, you can do it. A lot of therapists, in my experience, were not very supportive, and the reason why that is because when we go to school, whether you be a clinician like myself, or we call it a licensed therapist clinician, a nurse practitioner, a medical doctor, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, they teach you treatment. They don't teach you the other side. You kind of have to learn and grow and take classes and all that as we go along. So I'm not going to fully give you my testimony because it's already there, and for those who are watching this via YouTube, I will link that below. But I want to give you some tips that you need to do before you launch out your journey into full-time entrepreneurship. I want to just kind of speak to everyone's fear that it is a leap of faith, but watch, it is an informed decision through prayer, through being diligent, to being faithful where you are, learning the skills that you need to learn, and then having certain things in place. Please don't look. I'm not knocking nobody. Please don't tag me. Don't say I'm coming from anybody, because I've heard people say full-time entrepreneurship, and I just took the leap and I didn't even have a plan. And I do not, under any circumstances, support that. If that is someone else's testimony, that's fine. But you need to know that may be their journey, and it may not be your journey. Don't you do that, okay? You got to make sure you hear from God first. So I'm going to give you some practical steps, again, because you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, but you don't want to have to be in a place where you're full-time for 6 months or full-time for a year, and then you got to go back. Now, no shade if that's happened to you. We learn our lesson, but if your journey is to be full-time entrepreneur until the rest of your journey in your life and your career, there's some processes that have to take place. And not bragging, don't look at me like I'm bragging. Please don't take it that way. But I'm in a position as someone who can speak to that has different streams of income, which I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But also my main bread and butter, which is my private practice, I will not have to go back into working for someone else unless I choose to. There's certain things that I've always wanted to do that I haven't done yet. For example, I wanted to teach at the academic level. Do I still want to do that? I don't know. I may not ever do that because that's changed. You have all these ideas that you want to do in your life, and you think, do I really want to do that? I don't know. I used to want to have a practice of other people, and do I really want to do that? I don't know, because I really don't want to manage people. I don't want. I don't know. I'm just not. I just don't like being, in one place. So I want to talk to you about how do you make informed decisions. Some time, maybe, I don't know if it's gonna be next, I'll talk about the benefits of being a full-time entrepreneur. There are some benefits, and it's not the same that you see on social media. People just buy all this stuff and they have all this money coming in, and you just go shopping to Gucci store, honey. Okay. Now there are some benefits such as financial, but don't look at these entrepreneurs on YouTube think, oh my God, yes, I just buy a whole bunch of stuff at designer store, honey. You have to be a budget, you got to pay your taxes, all that good stuff, right? Okay, so the first thing that I did, again, for some of this, if you've already listened to my testimony, it may be a review, but I'm still going to kind of emphasize a lot more, not necessarily my testimony, but things that you should do. So one of the things I do is when you want to look at your main streams of income. Okay, look at your main streams of income. Okay, we're not leaving out of faith, and we don't have backup plan. I'm so sorry, don't do that, right? And so you want to try to set yourself up to have multiple streams of income, right? The Bible says, which, and I'm gonna misquote it because I don't have it right in front of me. Which of you does not, before you go to war, does not sit down and count up the cost? That is a wise thing to do. And so you want to not only look at your income, but look at the different streams of income that you may also be able to look into. Now, it does not mean all those streams of income are going to be flowing at the exact same time. Remember, streams flow at different places and spaces. For me, what I did was I was able to look at my finance and look at my main bread and butter, which is right now, which is my private practice. But I have other things. I have books. I have courses. I'm not. I think I'm monetized on one social media platform, and I probably got like 25 cents, honey. So, but that's something I'm gonna continue to work at, and again, the goal is to become monetized at that stage as well. And so, before you take a leap, you have to look at what's already there. Because again, talk about anxiety. When you jump out, right, and you don't have any other source of income, you kind of got to go along and get along. I'm going to talk to you briefly about a budget. That even though I'm not a finance person, that's not what we're going to focus on today. But look at your main sources of income. What I did was I looked at my main sources of income. I paid down as much possible bills that I could have paid for. For those who don't know, I did explain in my previous teaching that I paid off a whole car. I really had to look at my financial situation and make sure. Plus, for me, I wanted to have a certain lifestyle. Like, I am not a snob or bougie, and I have to have this type of lifestyle for this. That's not me. But I don't want to go from living comfortably to being like broke. I've been broke before in my lifetime, and I've had some struggles in that area. And I want to be able to do things like get my hair done, get my nails done. I can do all this myself. I want to be able to go on a trip every now and again. Okay, I've already planned my trip for this year. So these are lifestyle things that I just need, and I don't want to go backwards. And that's another reason why I didn't jump out so quickly. And some people may, I didn't. And I'm so sorry if I'm rushing. I really tried to log into this a little bit sooner, but I just had issues with my mic. And so look at your main bread and butter, but also look at, for example, I train and teach on what I've studied in school. I write books. Now I don't write other my clients' history, but I write books on emotional healing, mental healing, all those things. I write books related to what I'm expertise at. I also look at speaking engagements. But again, you should still have a main thing. If you don't have all those flowing, don't think that you can't step out in on faith. Okay, look at your budget. How much I have two different bank accounts. Don't stop. I don't know if you can hear that now. Yeah, I have two different bank accounts. I have actually four, but I had separate my business finances from my personal finances and go from there. Okay. So point number two, I got ahead of myself, y'all. I'm reading my notes. I do take notes. Look at your finances and your budget. What at minimum can you afford to live on? And you should have a savings. They say you should have saved up 6 months worth of financial situations. Again, does it have to be all the way? Because sometimes God will tell you to take a leap of faith and you don't have your whole plan all the way out, right? It doesn't go exactly the way you plan. For me, I wanted to have my car paid off before I took a leap of faith, right? I didn't pay my car off till the month after I left my job that I was at for many, many years. At the beginning of January, I said at the beginning of January of last year, the Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to move into a bigger office. And he told me where to move to and the amount of rent I'm gonna have to pay. But again, ideally, you don't want to add new bills. You want to pay off new bills. Okay. So I paid off my car note, but I also moved to a bigger office. So kind of evened out. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. There is a part where you have to hear from God. So look at your monthly budget. For me, again, as a practitioner, even though I have these different streams of income, I looked at the other streams of income as extra, but I looked at what my guarantee was. And I know I'm going to speak as a business for some people, and people think you're a therapist. Well, therapists, preachers, teachers, coaches, all those things. What you see in front of us is what we do, but we still have to consider the backside of any business structure. Okay. And so I also took out time to look at minimum. Stop it. I got to turn it off. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to look at minimum, like how many clients I needed to see weekly. So I don't have to dig into my savings. I looked at my savings as extra. I'm not going to touch my savings. I looked at how many clients I was seeing on a regular basis. That minimum, how many clients do I need to see every week to still be able to maintain my financial stability? So, and every week that I calculated that I literally see about 3 times more clients that I actually need to see financially, right? Again, I don't see people because of finances. I'm just telling you, it helps to have this kind of cushion in place for your mind to start worrying about, like, okay, if someone cancels, what happens? No. I already had this already planned out. Okay, again, make sure you have a savings and a minimum what you can afford to live on. But again, I also had to look at my lifestyle. I don't have this grand and grandiose lifestyle. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm in position. So I had to look at minimum what I want. I want to still be able to go to the beach. I still want to be able to get my hair and my nails done. These are things that I want to be able to go to conferences. I don't just want to be able to sit at home because I got gas to last me for the week. I've been that girl. I don't want to go back. So at minimum, my living expenses, my financial expenses, but also what am I willing to sacrifice? I wasn't willing to sacrifice my lifestyle because it wasn't that extravagant to begin with. And then I moved from there. And then I minimum how many clients that I need to see. And I told y'all in my last teaching how I started getting so many more clients from my private practice than I was in my day job. Like literally, I remember one time and I was so overwhelmed. I was so stressed out. Nobody knew it because I know just how to get up, put my clothes on, thug it out. But I was like overwhelmed. I remember one time between Friday and Monday, I had 15 different referrals and I was completely booked out in my private practice. But at my day job, I was like, okay, we have a nice client. So I had to take that leap. But again, it was an informed decision that I needed to really to think about, right? And sometimes, if I'll be honest, sometimes we just don't want to take the leap out of fear. What if, you know? But let go of that fear because remember, your skill set is there, right? But I had something, I had something. Point number three, consider if it is time. So you don't want to delay the promise of God, because this is a promise from God, but you also don't want to step out prematurely. And that's in any area of life, and that's in business and in ministry. And you don't want to step out prematurely. And when it's your time, God will put it in your hand. You don't have to play games and all these kind of things. God will put it in your time. But sometimes, um, is it, ask God and pray, God, is this fear that's stopping me, or is this you that's holding me back? Right. And this, because it's a scary thing. As a person, I don't disclose my personal information, but I don't have anyone that can pay my bills for me for a week or a month or 2 months. I have, it's literally right now, me and Jesus. And I've learned to depend on him. So when we talk about stepping out on full-time entrepreneurship, as someone that is like out here, hunty, like, I think it took me some time just on that basis alone. Okay. So again, in your quiet time, God will begin to speak to you. Doesn't mean he's gonna say, my child come forth, but sometimes all the signs are just there. And one thing I did after God, after I took that leap of faith, the Lord began to speak to me after I submitted my resignation. And he said, Samaria, the oil is not gonna stop flowing. He started telling me different things about my business, why he told me to move here. So again, let's still be mindful. I said this, keep all debt at a minimum. Try as best not to add in new expenses. So if you're trying to go into full-time entrepreneurship, don't go buy a new car. You understand what I'm saying? Don't go as much as possible. But again, you remember what God told me, and it's I never miss. Okay, but try your best not to add in any new expenses, and if anything, you can pay off. Again, as I stated, because remember, I don't have any loans or any business loans prior to stepping out, right? And so I'm not dependent upon that. And so your full time, believe it or not, if you structure it right, even if you're not making a whole lot of money, should pay for your part time until your part time is your full time hustle. Hey. You're gonna have to discipline your spending habits, and it's realistic. You're gonna have to discipline and your spending habits. Because I said before, one of the things that when I see these YouTubers and they're full time, it's like they are overflow. But don't think because you can't go into the Gucci store or the LV store or you can't rock it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to discipline your spending habits. For me, when I want to take a trip, I plan a trip at the beginning of the year and I pay on things. If I know that I always do something for my 40th birthday, if I want to go to get to the designer stores, I know I'm gonna get that. I'm just not gonna get there in the time. I may want it right away. I'm not gonna for this Christmas. I bought myself some things. I bought myself a brand new iPad. I bought myself a brand new, and I'm not bragging. I just bought myself an Apple Watch. I went shopping, but again, that was in my budget. But I have an eye on how much I can spend, so you can still have a lifestyle and buy things that you want, but you have to discipline your spending habits. I may not be able to get it right when I want it. Sometimes when I buy Apple products, I buy certified refurbished because it's cheaper. Can I afford the brand new? Absolutely. But why would I buy? Because I'm not a tech person. So people may see you balling out or whatever, and you got all this extra, and you got this and that and the third, but they don't see there's a discipline and there's a consistency that has to happen. And once you are faithful over a few things, God will put it in your hand. I remember one time when I first started getting different streams, I told myself for my birthday, I told myself at the beginning of the year I was going to have this. I'm gonna go here for my birthday. It was some beach. Okay, I ended up not being able to go where I wanted to because at the time, it was during the pandemic, and so I wanted to go to Jamaica. I was not able to go to Jamaica because of the pandemic, but I still went somewhere, and I gave myself a budget. I said I'm going to go to this store, and I saved up my whole almost like, because my birthday's in October, right? And so in January, I'm putting aside money the whole year so that when I go to this place, I can stay in the luxury place that I want to stay at. And I'm gonna buy myself all these things that I want in these stores. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you it ain't one that deep. I wanted to, but I plan my steps to that. And I say all that to say, when you're in entrepreneurship and you can do what you want, but don't look at these YouTubers and they just buying like You know what I'm saying? They just doing the absolute most. If they're there, that's fine. But a lot of these folks that be on these TikTok streets end up being broke in a few years. So you have to be faithful where you are, but discipline. It does not mean you can't live the lifestyle that you want or have nice things that you want or what have you, but you discipline yourself and then give yourself small markers, right, to get to that goal. So you have to discipline your spending, particularly when you're in a full-time entrepreneur, because again, obviously when you're working for a job, some of the cushion is, or the safety is, every 2 weeks or however you get paid. I know some people in the government agencies get paid once a month. You are guaranteed a check. Okay. But when you're in full-time entrepreneurship, depending upon the types of structure your business has, you got your residuals that just money that's coming into your bank account without you having to actually work. And then you got people that have a service-based business, and how much you work is how much you get paid. Right now, majority for me of how much I work is how much I get paid, but I have other streams of income. So I still get my book sales and things like that, but I'm not on the New York Times bestsellers list right now. Like, you see what I'm saying? But I'm in position for that. And so that's my next goal and my next journey as I continue being a therapist, is to really continue to push the other stuff that's behind it, so that I can still have a greater cushion. I'm not there yet, but I'm still able to be a full-time entrepreneur. And it still feels good to be able to set your own hours. I don't work full-time hours. I really don't go into my office before a certain amount of time. So there's so many benefits which I will talk to you about in a later time, other than just being able to, buy stuff. Because, honey, listen, just because some of the full-time entrepreneurs does not mean the money truck just shows up at their bank account and at their door and just piles it on in. So we being really, really realistic, okay? And once you have a foundation or cushion to build on, the Bible says once you're faithful over a few things can make you ruler over many, but it helps to not have that anxiety if something happens. Like tomorrow, we're supposed to have bad weather. I have clients scheduled. I'm going to call these clients and say, hey, if you want to do a telehealth session, or do you want to reschedule? It's not going to hit me either way financially in a bad way if someone needs to reschedule, because you see what I'm saying? I'm giving you some real practical things so you can avoid kind of the ugly side of being a full-time entrepreneur and being self-sufficient and so dependent upon you and God. And now you're like, what am I going to do? You still save your money up as a full-time entrepreneur as much as you can. You keep your money in savings. You still invest in your life, and you live, but you just be wise. And that is the best thing you can do. Use wisdom. Okay, I said this before. Sometimes I get so excited, y'all. I get ahead of myself. So if I'm repeating myself, you know why. Again, separate your business expenses from your living expenses. I have 2 business accounts. I have 1 savings account, and then I have a main account where I pay my personal bills out of. Okay. And so you kind of get what I'm saying. And I kind of generally know, and I have an idea of how much I can spend, how much I not. I have I actually have a locked thing on my computer of my finances and my budget and all that kind. I literally sat down there and wrote all that out before I took the leap of faith into full-time entrepreneurship. And I'm so glad I did. Okay. I am so glad that I did. Okay. Because the bills don't stop because you're full-time entrepreneur either. Duke Energy, they still want their money. They can't say you inside took a leap of faith. You understand what I'm saying? Your rent or your mortgage, they still want their money. Okay. Everybody still want their money. All right. 4 more things and we'll be done for today. Seek wise counsel from those who are in position to give it. And that includes an online community. The only person I told that I was finally going to make the leap of faith was another therapist who was already doing it. Now, if I would have sought counsel from people that I've known all my life, they would have told me don't do it. I was at my last place. Now, I've been in the field for a long time. I was at my last organization for over 12 years. And so at 40 something, it's a different generation. If I talked to the wrong person, they would say, no, you got a good job, you got health benefits, and they would have told me, they would not have advised me to take the leap. But I was able to seek counsel. And one thing she advised me to, which I already done, I saw online communities and I saw other therapists who were doing it. And I didn't see them, obviously, I didn't see them, but Yeah, I heard them and their testimonies. I went to, I don't really engage as much as I used to. But I remember being in these online communities and hearing different advice from other therapists who have been already full-time much longer than I remember one lady who said she lost her job and she had a whole mortgage. She had two grown children that were getting ready to go off to college, how scared she was. She said a year later, she is doing exceptionally well. I have like 4 or 5 employees. That really helped me because I don't have no chick, no child in college. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, hearing other people and their experiences, you know what I mean? I never forget one time, so many years ago, when I first started my private practice, I'm telling you, God will send mentors in your direction without you having to try to get next to people. Okay. This lady called me up at random and she was just asking me about my practice. And she was in Virginia. She had her own private practice. It turned out we knew mutual people at random. We knew mutual people. We both graduated. I graduated from Howard University. Shout out to Howard many moons ago. And she knew some of the professors because we had graduated from the same program. She had graduated years prior to me. And she said, well, congratulations. She was asking me, have you done this type of assessment? Have you been trained in this? And I was like, well, no, I'm just starting and she was telling me, honey, this is what you need to do today. And I never forget. And I didn't call her, which I do regret. But she said, if you need anything, you give me a call. That's what she said to me. And I appreciate that so much as a seasoned clinician, further along. Now I'm a seasoned clinician, but so much further along in her journey, she was able to encourage me. And I was telling you that we live in a world that's very presumptuous. I had people try to give me advice about full-time entrepreneur and how I need to spend money. And these people were not even in the same field as me, and they were not successful because somewhere down the line, I'm still being successful. These people try to get money out of me. But you see what I'm saying? So it's like we live in a very presumptuous generation. They're going to tell you what you need to do, how you need to spend your money, blah, blah, blah. Seek a wise counsel from people in a position to give it. Those who are not oftentimes will approach the counsel with fear. Well, I don't know if I'd do that if I was you. But the number one thing the Bible says is acknowledge God in all your ways. He's going to give you clear instructions. God will give you clear instructions. And he will send people in your direction. You don't have to go and try to find people and just do the absolute most. When it's your time to put it in your hand, be realistic about what full-time entrepreneurship means. Yes, you are your own boss, but I still have to submit to a board. I still have to submit to my licensing board. I still have to register my business every year. I still have to pay for my fine. There's being an entrepreneur is not just, oh, you don't have a job. So be realistic about it. Don't be looking at these YouTubers, okay, and nothing wrong with them. But be realistic. It's not just about waking up one morning and then there's some benefits now. This this on the June and on January 2nd. Okay, now this ain't gonna brag or January 2nd, everybody was like, oh, I can't stay. I don't want to go back into the work and oh my God, And honestly, on January 2nd, I spent the whole day in my pajamas because I was off that day anyway. Okay. So I was working on my books and other things, but to be able to say I'm off on these days, I only work on, there's so many benefits. So when I say be realistic about the benefits and the ugly side, or the not so pleasant side that you may not necessarily anticipate. I wasn't in my pajamas being anxious. When am I gonna go back? No, you know what I mean? So there are some positive sides. When you run your own practice, I came from an organization that had a whole staff, and I needed a question, a comment, or concern. I had someone I could email, call, talk to somebody. Okay, now it's just a little bit different, but I'm confident because I took the leap of faith when I'm seasoned. I kind of know what I'm doing. But I can't say, hey, let me call my supervisor. I have to just stand on business. When people try to take advantage, I can't say, well, because people do, unfortunately, when you're in human services field, sometimes people will try to take advantage and they have to tell people no. But now they can't say, well, let me speak to your supervisor. Well, that would be me. Okay. But when you step out and you're seasoned in what you do and you know what you do, you can set your business principles based upon, again, what is requested of you, required of your business. But you just have to kind of stand and let people not like you if you have to tell them no at some point, which happens. Sometimes people see me and I'm so nice. Oh, can you sign this paper? Can you sign me out of my work? Can you do this? And I'm saying, no, this is not something that we do at this organization, and stand on that. And if you get a bad review or someone doesn't like you or something like that, they just have to not like you. But that happens when you are the captain, so to speak, hypothetically, of your own ship. But like I said, when you're in business, in any business, you have to, again, a licensing board, and this is for any business. When you're in a healthcare business, it's a little more regulated, but the laws that govern your business, you know what I mean? You have to just be considerate of that. Keep good records, obviously, for taxes. One of the things I learned early on. So I ended up having to pay taxes back. Not this year, obviously, but when I first started. So remember, I've had my own private practice for almost 7, almost 8 years now. Okay. So I'm learning as I'm going. So I ended up having to pay taxes. In my first year, I broke even. Okay. And that's because by the time I figured out my finances and my write-offs, I didn't keep good records. And so I ended up again, but to God be the glory, I had the money in my bank account. So when they said, you owe this much, I was like, okay, and I cut the check. You know, I ain't owe it. I ain't really owe it, but I just went ahead and cut the check, and it wasn't, anything for me, as far as it didn't put a dent in my life or my lifestyle, but it's the fact that I had to learn that. So now my records are on point, honey. Case IRR and the S coming debit, or what it could audit me, my my stuff was in place. You understand what I'm saying? So keep good records as far as your finances, and I'm not going to recommend a particular thing over the other. Do what works for you, because again, I'm in the healthcare field. So there's certain records we have to keep for our medical records that's different from our finances and all that kind of stuff. But you have to, again, know that. And again, seek out wise counsel. Seek out as you can different courses and training courses and coaching courses. One of the things I did is attend a lot of business things from the Small Business Center, and I had to weed out what would be applicable to me based upon being in the healthcare field versus other things, but it still was relevant, and it helped me to engage in social media. But I had to also understand how that works differently for a clinician. This is why you can't DM me for services. You can't DM me and ask to speak to me because I have to protect your HIPAA and your confidentiality. But that would be just one thing. And the last thing I'll tell you is that even as a full-time entrepreneur, you still have to set your growth pattern, which I talked about, I think, in previous teaching as well, setting your growth pattern. Like, I still have things I want to go grow in professionally, personally, and otherwise. And again, seeking God's counsel concerning that, but also looking at how I can continue to grow. Being a full-time entrepreneur is not like, oh, check box, whoo, money is coming, finally can work for myself, sit on my morals. No, I can be more flexible with my time, but my pattern, my winner's mindset, the part of me that wants to continue to grow and evolve is still going to be there, regardless of what, regardless. It's just, I have to continue to grow. Now I'm a little bit more flexible about my time, so that I can be diligent even that much more about my growth pattern. And again, if you want to look at that teaching called the growth mindset, all right? And I do apologize if I went through this really, really fast. Technical difficulties, y'all. I just naturally talk fast anyway, but I'm trying to get better at that. So anyway, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you can comment. If you can't, just subscribe, honey. I still love you. And if you want to book me for speaking engagements or want to know a little bit more about my information, my books, I did a book called Let Down Your Nets. I have a book called On the Business of Leading, which is for business entrepreneurs. I have a growth mindset planner. All that is going to be there, and it's all going to be relevant. And so you can pick that up at my website at drsamariacolbert.com. The links will be below if you're watching this via YouTube. If you're looking for counseling services, you must be a North Carolina resident, and I don't know you personally, go to www.kingdomcreativecounseling.com. If you're not a North Carolina resident, you can go to psychologytoday.com, and it's not sponsored, and they will help you out there. And of course, if you want to know a little more training, I do have a training for clinicians called From Practitioner to Business Owner. And that's specifically for clinicians who want to be entrepreneurs as well. And you can go to www.trainingchristianleaders.com for that one. But again, go to samariacolbert.com, and you will be able to, it'll be, all the links will be there as well. Thank you, y'all. We'll be back in the day, in the time, and a banger. I'll see you next time. Bye.